We're here at the Charles Champion Building in Port Isabel. Got some background noise going on, lots of birds singing, and currently the roof is being repaired while the museum is closed. But we wanted to take a look around the exterior of this historic building. It was built in 1899 by Charles Champion. Originally on this site was the Hess Mercantile, which was purchased by Charles Champion, and then a few years later this building was built on the site. I'm going to back up just a little bit here so we can get a view of what the whole building looks like. It was a rather imposing figure in Port Isabel at the time in 1899. A two-story building with commerce downstairs and family living quarters upstairs. And to give you an idea of proximity, the Lighthouse is right through those trees on the right hand side. The building sits on Railroad Avenue, or did when it was constructed. The railroad tracks ran right in front of the building and some 1,500 feet out into the Laguna Madre Bay. So this was a prime location for a business. At this point in time, one might wonder why this building is here facing south, but at the time it was a bustling center of commerce. It served as a general mercantile, a post office, a depot, and so the train would arrive here from Brownsville, unload its goods for the store, and then proceed on the railroad tracks, if you can imagine, that direction out to the Laguna Madre Bay, where products would be offloaded and unloaded for shipment back to Brownsville. The train was also a passenger train, so that's how people could get back and forth to Brownsville. So, apologize for the noise in the background. We're going to take a closer look at the lower level and talk a little bit about the fish you see on the outside. In 1906, there are varying stories as to why exactly this happened, but a local fisherman and artist was commissioned to paint what then represented species known in the Laguna Madre Bay and the Gulf of Mexico. Sport fishing was kind of a new discovery then. And while the painting and some of the species have changed over the years, this was meant to represent what you could find offshore in this area. So we're going to take a closer look at a couple of these. This is probably the most dramatic, and this was a Manta Ray, a devil ray, that was found pretty frequently. Hey Inez, offshore. Lots of stories come with those. Back in the day, you could get on a boat that would harpoon one of these things and take you for a wild ride. There's a note postcard taken of one of these trips, and it says to his father that he felt fortunate to arrive back on land alive after the excursion. So they would either harpoon one and go until the fish could no longer tow them, or they would cut it loose to preserve their lives. And of course some did make it to the dock, which was a very dramatic photo. Massive, massive animals. So we see, that's kind of an offshore fish. We see flounder, crabs, sharks, sunfish, whelk, and all variety of fish pack the front of this building. It's like one large outdoor aquarium. This has recently been restored in 2018, and we went back to look at a 1912 photo and actually added from the original 1906 painting. We added the fish that surround this devil ray. So we feel like this is one of the most accurate restorations. Now, some of the fish, even to experts, are unidentifiable. There's a little artistic license, if you will. The original painting of this depicted a lot more flying fish than are on it presently, although flying fish can still be found out in our waters. This was not one of the original fish, the sailfish here. Not sure exactly when that was added, but at some point in time that became a prominent feature of this building. In 1934, this facade was featured in National Geographic, which was very timely for our area. We had just come through the 1933 hurricane season, and the area was devastated. So the publicity that National Geographic offered our community was very, very welcome. And one of the stories that Port Isabel wanted to talk about was fishing. Nothing much has changed. Fishing is still one of our biggest draws. Bait, if you will. It was reported that the artist, who was a fisherman, so he was familiar with a lot of these species, would go down to the dock and sketch fish that came in to have a reference of what these creatures look like. Hey, Lori. Well, welcome to Port Isabel. We love new full-time residents, and are so happy and proud to be able to show everybody a few things that Port Isabel has to offer. Now, this is a tarpon. Thanks, Elisa. This is a tarpon. This is, of course, our mascot here in Port Isabel. Go Blue, mighty tarpons, the Silver King. And these are still caught off our coast. Now, at this point in time, they are tag and release, but back in the day, they were boated, docked, brought in, and there are photos, some of which I'll post in the comments, of these fish being displayed around the base of the lighthouse. But the tarpon came to be one of the premier featured fish on this mural. Now, pardon the noise, but I'm going to walk back here a little bit because I do want to show one of the more unusual pictures, paintings on this mural is the lighthouse. And there's a matching medallion on the other side also. You may notice that the ground around the lighthouse in this depiction is flat. That's because the lighthouse wasn't always on a hill. The hill was carved away in the 1920s. And that's what the lighthouse looked like from the west looking to the east. You see the buildings in the background are the support buildings for the lighthouse. There was an oil house. They kept the oil separate from the lighthouse because they didn't want any fires, and several other outbuildings, and the ever-present mesquite tree. So I want to mention also that one of the projects that we worked on when we did the restoration of this mural was we needed to raise some money to help with the project and help with the maintenance. So you can adopt a fish. I will include the link in the comments below where you can adopt a fish. We don't have very many left, but it's not too late. It's very colorful, very dramatic. And the other thing that I will include below also is an evening shot of this. In 2018, we also illuminated it. So at night, it's a very, very dramatic backdrop. And this is on the ground floor. There are fish upstairs also. We'll get up there one day and take you on a tour of that also. Here's the other medallion on the west end of the building. And it kind of represents the time when it was a post office, perhaps. There's also speculation that when it was Eagle Pass lumber or associated with Eagle Pass lumber, that might have been when the Eagle came on board there also. Don't know. We're always learning new things. We would invite your questions or comments or answers, observations in the comments below. We do go back and read everything and answer all that we can. So we're going to back up one more time, take a look at the whole building. Thank you for taking a few minutes of your time today. This does house the Port Isabel Historical Museum, which is closed until further notice, of course, due to COVID-19. In the meantime, the building is still lovingly cared for. It's getting some roof repairs and a new roof on a portion of it. We're looking forward to the day when we can reopen, have events here, and enjoy this building like we have since 1899. My name is Valerie Bates. Thank you for joining us on another Facebook Live. Please keep in touch until you can get here and visit in person. Enjoy this. Thank you.